With the France signing now complete, well, basically on the verge of completion, it's time to look ahead. What's next for Palace? What positions do you want to see being prioritized? And also some player names also being mentioned, such as Nonto and more. Let's get started with Palace news. What is going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News, 9:30 on Monday night, start of a fresh new week after, honestly, I was going to say victory against Sevilla. Moods are high at Palace. Well, they're higher than they were pretty much last week and this week. But as always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like button and also subscribe to not miss out on future content. And send in your questions. This is going to be a bit more of a chill stream. There isn't that much news surrounding Palace today, funny enough. There's an update on Franca, not Franca, so let's get his name right. And we'll discuss that and we'll talk about the future now, because I don't think this business is enough for us to say, oh, that's it, we're settled. I think it's very good business, but we've still got more to do. And it's time to now look ahead and decide what do we think? What do we think about what position we should prioritize and some of the names we mentioned? Look, as always, thanks to everyone who's been supporting us. Yesterday, I was live with Patrick at about 2:30 a.m. For the reaction video to the game. So if you haven't watched that, make sure to watch that after this. And we spoke about France a bit more in detail there. But once it's announced, we'll also open up the lines and bring you guys on as well to have your opinion on the signing. Reportedly, he's said his farewells over in Brazil. He should have traveled to the UK, I believe, today, or traveling to the UK today to complete his medical. So hopefully sooner rather than later it will get announced. But I was thinking, there isn't much to talk about today in terms of Palace news. That genuinely it was a quiet day. There was mentions about Nonto, which is quite interesting, and that came from Team Talk that Palace are after him. So Somerville, Nonto, we've been targeting Leeds players for a bit in this market, but I think it's a good time to reflect. Now we're entering August tomorrow, first of the month, and with France joining, I thought, you know what? Let's just talk about what do we want next. What will we be happy with after France is announced? Because I don't personally think it's enough. But as always, send in your questions. So we won't go on for too long today. I'm a bit tired, only on 5 hours sleep. But yeah, I agree with Tim. It felt like a victory. Good to see you. Yeah, good to. I can't even say see you. Well, technically, I'm not seeing you, but you're here. You know what I mean? Good to see you here. Amit saying, how was the game yesterday? I fell asleep at halftime. It was positive. So for those who haven't watched the game or the highlight, we lost on penalties, the most Palace way to lose, not just because it was penalties, but the fact that we lost on sudden death penalties after one kick, which was hilarious. But I'll be honest, after the game, me and Patrick, as I said, we done a reaction to the game, and I was literally on my lips. I wanted to say victory because it felt like a victory. We were the better team. We created a lot of chances. There was so many positive performances. Players played for 90 minutes as well. So overall, yesterday's game was probably our best preseason game so far, which is a positive, because for me, the result doesn't matter as much in preseason. It's more about the performances. We don't have to beat Sevilla. It's about performing, creating chances, being solid defensively. And overall, yesterday, we looked like a solid Premier League side against a side that had just won a European competition, by the way. So they're not an easy opposition. And I thought Palace played very well, especially in possession. I'm not going to talk too much about Sevilla here. We'll talk about it a bit. But, yesterday, especially in the first half, some of the passes that we're making, some of the movement, it was absolutely fantastic. And the second half, it was the same as well. We created chances, so there wasn't much to complain about. The goal that they scored was a wonder goal. That was pretty much it. Mbappe next. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's get started. We got France, and next is Mbappe. Who's after Mbappe? No, but no. All jokes aside, a striker. We do need a striker. But we'll talk about that. Kendi saying, if you're free Sunday, come watch AFC Croydon Athletic. Yeah, for Zaha's team, they've got a FA Cup game, at 3 p.m. Fortunately, I won't be here. I'm saying fortunately because this country is miserable. If you guys live in the UK, it's been raining all summer. So yes, I'm flying out on Wednesday, so I won't be here until the season starts. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about my trip, especially with all these signings announced. Why don't Palace buy players on free transfer? Well, Jefferson Lerma exists, so that happened. Exactly, and Tommy said the same thing. Looked at France on YouTube looks a bit of a baller. Yeah, look, as I said this before, I think we're buying him based on his abilities rather than, we're buying him for the sake of left winger. I think he's going to be a versatile player. I'll be very surprised if he just plays down the left. I think at times he might go through the middle as well. But interestingly, as I said it on yesterday morning stream, not even night, yesterday morning, this morning, actually, not yesterday morning, this morning. He is right-footed. Well, he likes to cut down the left-hand side and cut in. So I won't be surprised if we use him as a winger, but I don't think that's going to be his only position as well. I feel like we're going to try to, include him. And a few of our players now at the club are versatile in their positions. The likes of Ebbs. Ebbs can play out wide and through the middle. I think Franca will be like a similar combination. But for me, in the short term, I think he should be playing out wide because that's the position that we need. But I've said it before, I don't think he is enough. I think it's a fantastic signing, and I'm happy. I'm happy based on yesterday's performance. I'm happy that he's traveling to the UK. I'm happy that it's finally getting completed. I'm even happy that he's got Ballon d'Or clause in it. That's how much, Palace rate him, and also Flamingo rate him. That's exciting as well. But we also have to ease our expectations as well. As much as I want to see him play, he's coming to a new country, only 19 years old, still fairly young. So we'll see how long it takes for him to settle. But for me, at this current moment of time, I think I can see him playing down the left-hand side, even though he can play probably anywhere in that front three. I absolutely felt like a win. Went toe-to-toe with Champions League club, 100%. Respectful result against a good team, especially with the injuries that we have. What about that Galatasaray player? Maybe we could get him on loan. I think his name is Zah. Yeah, maybe we could get him on loan. I'm good. We got Franca. Time to move on. Time to move on from him. It is what it is. I'm not gonna talk about Will a bit more. Our Athletic article calls him raw gem that needs to be polished. I'm okay with that. Exactly. That's what I was, basically saying as well. Look, he's got the raw abilities. I think we're buying him for his technical abilities, and it's not cheap as well for Palace. I know we've signed a few quality players, but look, the likes of Elise right now is worth 50 plus million, but we got Elise for £8 million. So it wasn't something significant. Franca is a higher risk, but it's a risk that we should be taking. There's a risk that we should allow Dougie to take because Dougie has been fantastic with the transfers. If you look at it as a whole, yes, he's had one or two players, maybe they haven't worked out as good, but some of these players already, they've transformed just straight away after one season. So if Dougie wants to spend 25 million euros on Franca, then I've got no issues with that because his talent ID so far has been fantastic. And, he deserves whatever he wants to do. And he traveled to Brazil. He's clearly spoken to people as well. He's been on his radar. France has been on his radar for quite a while. So, let Dougie cook. Let Dougie cook. I heard that Dest Barca wants to use cash selling Dembele on a new right back. That's not in their plans. I'd love to see us go for him, but we need a striker and attacker. Yeah. So so in this show, as I said, I'm not going to go on for too long, but it's worth talking about what's next. So for me, I feel like down the left hand side, our business is we shouldn't be finished there. I think France is a very good signing, but there's already question marks about it, not in terms of his ability, but in terms of how long it will take for Roy to bring him into the starting 11. Will that be instant, or will Roy want to bed him into the side, make sure he's comfortable with his surroundings before he starts him? Because we have to be realistic. There's a high chance of that happening. For me, if you're Palace, you don't spend 25 million euros on a player and you take your time with him. I think that's quite significant for Palace, even though it shouldn't be after 10 years, but that's debatable. It is. We don't really spend that kind of money left, right, center. So, when you consider the fee, when you consider the needs that we need right now, I think he should be playing sooner rather than later. I want to see him, maybe Lyon might be too soon, but I want to see him in Premier League games relatively soon. I mean, Elise is out, so there must be a spot for him, but I don't know if Roy's going to do that. I think that's the biggest question mark with him because he's not had a full preseason under Roy. I don't know if that's going to have an impact on his potential game time. For example, Ahamada, he's proven himself a lot. When Roy joined, Ahamada wasn't really playing. And, this preseason, he's had his opportunities and he's proved to Roy, and it seems like Roy now rates him and he's, played quite a few preseason games. So he's missed that preseason section. But yeah, I think we need another left winger. The question is, who should that left winger now be? Look, I would have had no issue with Demario Gray joining, but for me personally, I don't know about you guys, with Wilf leaving, I want something to look forward to. Franca is that player that I look forward to. not only him, Hudson-Odoi would have been the player as well because of their age, because of their potential, because of their abilities, even abilities that we have in our squad. I feel like them players would suit us. Now, France is a good signing, but then we still need another left winger. And I've said this before, even when Wilf was at the club. We've literally just had him. If you want to put Schlupp as a left winger, fair enough, but he's not. He's not an outright left winger. That's not his position. And we can 100% do better. And we can do better in terms of Damari Gray or Hudson-Odoi, in my opinion. So I want another left winger. But the most important position is, we're talking about bringing Franca. He's a creative player. I mean, he's doing flicks left, right, centre. I don't think he's going to be doing that in the Premier League, but if he does, I'll absolutely love it. But we need a finisher at the club. If we can create all the chances that we want, but, as good as a game that Ebbs had a fantastic game, but as good as a game that Edouard had against Sevilla in terms of his hold-up play, there's still question marks about it. And one good game is not going to change my opinion because I've seen these players. I've seen Mateta, I've seen Edouard, and I don't think personally that they've been consistent enough for us to say that's fine. We don't need another striker. I think striker is a massive, massive question mark because we're spending 25 million euros on a youngster who hasn't proven himself yet. He's got the ability, but he hasn't proven himself, which is a massive statement. Now, how much more money do we have left for forward? Because as I've said many times, as you guys would know as well, some of the price tags being mentioned were forward, such as Nketiah or Balogun. It's not cheap. And I just don't see Palace spending 40 to 50 million pounds. And that's the next area that I'm looking at. Personally, as much as we need a left winger, is striker. Because that area comes with a high price tag. And right now, we just don't have the quality to compete in the Premier League up front. I think our strike force, even though they can score goals here and there, overall, it's weak. It's been one of our weaker areas. And we have to try to utilize it and improve it this summer. But what do you guys think about it? Do you guys think that we will improve the striker position? And if we do, who do you realistically see joining? Because I know people love mentioning names over, in Germany, over in France, say we should buy him and, him. But realistically, some of these names, they haven't been mentioned. So realistically, they're not going to join. Out of all the names that's been mentioned, who do you guys realistically see joining Palace? Because that's another big thing. Nketiah, Balogun, that's pretty much it. Gyökeres is long gone. Who else have we had on our radar? I mean, we mentioned Broja potentially out on loan, but that's between Palace fans. That's not really anything that come out from the media. So I think that's the one area that I'm looking at next. I wonder what Doug is going to do because I think he knows that it's not enough as well. But look, I've done a little monologue. I get carried away. I'll go through some of the comments. I heard that Barca wants to use cash for selling Dembele on a new right back. That's not in their plans. Yeah, man. Don't worry. We got ourselves sorted. Kendi saying, was your hope for the season? My hope for the season depends on the signings that we bring because literally, I mean, France sounds exciting, but we need more. There's some one or two weaknesses in the starting 11 that we need to improve on. It's a risk, but could be an absolute gem in Dougie we trust 100%. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. Says Alan, will you sell Ferguson next season if he only plays one or two games if he does not play more? Personally, I mean, is there even a point of selling Ferguson? Because I don't think he's got any value in him. So I wouldn't really think about that, in all honesty. How do you lose on pens after one kick? Can you please explain to you? Because I don't know what the hell just happened. Other than that, great to hear positive performance versus a top side. Just seen Eze's goal sublime. Eze was absolutely filthy yesterday. But it's so important for us to realize that as good as Ebbs is, we can't just rely on him. Because God forbid, if an injury happens, and you take Ebbs out of that lineup yesterday, we seriously lack creativity. I mean, Ebbs scored that goal, which was fantastic, but he also created the chances. Like the ball went to him and he was absolutely causing them problems. The fact that they got a red card in the preseason friendly just shows how much Ebbs absolutely rattled Sevilla's defense. But that's just one player. I know when Elise comes back, that'll be great. But the creativity side of it, I think for Franca, that could be interesting because he's meant to be that creative player as well. So we might have added a player there, but we have to be careful with our expectations on Ebbs. It's annoying that players like Gyökeres have already left for Sporting. That would have been good, but players like Nonto could be a good signing. Yes, it'll be a good signing. Nonto, you can have the debates between whether you want Nonto or Somerville, but Nonto's not a striker. Somerville's not a striker. Now, that's where my point is leading towards. Franca is a very good signing, but we still need a striker. And these names that's been mentioned, they haven't been strikers. The only strikers that's really been mentioned and, that I could see some links being truthful is Nketiah because we've been after Nketiah for a while, right? I mean, we were after him before he signed a new deal at Arsenal. So that's the realistic potential striker signing I could see. But apart from that, it's been relatively quiet. So I wonder if they're working on stuff behind the scenes. Who would you like to see as club captain, and who will you also like to see take the spot kick this season that Zaha and the club captain is gone? Me personally, you guys can let me know as well in the comment section in terms of club captain. I would like to see Gahey. I think that would show a massive statement from the club as well in terms of how much belief that we have in him. He's done duties like that for England before, so I think he's built for it, and also he's captain Palace already. And despite his age, I think he's captain material. Like he seemed like a leader, but realistically, I don't see it being Gahey. I see it being one of the more experienced players due to Roy being our manager. So I could see it being the likes of Joe Ward, for example. But then again, I don't really have a problem with that. At the end of the day, look, the captaincy is just an armband. And of course, there's more to it behind the scenes. But you like players like Gahey, I don't think they need to be captains for them to be that vocal leader. There's natural leaders in the squad, which that's all that matters. For me, captaincy is not as big. But I think it'll be a massive statement if the likes of Gahey was made captain, even though he will still perform relatively well without that armband around him. Robert says, agreed, need a goal scorer. Hope we keep the talent that we have. Yeah, 100%. So on a weekend, there were reports, I couldn't look into it, but about, Palace potential offering £100,000 a week to Elise. So, after we lost Wilf, I just don't realistically see the likes of Elise. I don't see Ebbs leaving. Even Gahey. I mean, Gahey, that's looking less likely by the day because of all the top team signing players, and Tottenham are not really serious when it comes to transfer window. So I don't think we should be worried there. But Elise was like the main worry right now. But I think we need to keep Elise for another season. If we kept Wilf, then you can have that debate. Should we sell Elise or should we not? Because should we cash in on him? But I think for now we just have to make sure we keep all the players, and then we plan ahead. And then if we were to sell Elise, we'll find a proper replacement. But for now, I wouldn't sell any of the talent that we realistically have. I would love to see loan move for Broja. Says Oz, don't say that. Wrap Ebbs in a bubble wrap. Keep that man safe. Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I said it yesterday and I'll say it today. I'll say yesterday. It's this morning. It's been such a long day. I'm on 5 hours sleep. Literally against Lyon, like I wouldn't be that upset if Ebbs didn't play, because he's been getting kicked a lot recently. And look, he's a footballer. He's a professional. He gets kicked. He's been getting kicked all his life. When you play football, you get kicked. If you play football, you would know that. That's not that much of a big deal. But due to Elise being out, I'd be that extra cautious because he seemed like pre-season. He's just in a flow. Like Ebbs has completed pre-season by himself. Like he's ready. He's ready for the season to start. So for me, we got one more pre-season game left. I would keep him in a bubble. I would in a bubble wrap, because we can't risk that because he's our only creativity right now for the time being. Loved Ebbs getting more fired up each foul to eventually he took on 4 defenders plus a keeper to score. Exactly. He just turned into, I don't even know, like Ronaldinho, Messi, whoever you want to say. Literally, he just ran past everyone, and it was a lovely finish as well, which is fantastic. And I said it before, in terms of goals and assists, I think there should be expectation on Ebbs. Not for us being cruel towards him, but because I think he's got all the talent in the world. If you play like he did under Roy in the last 10 games, which it seemed like so far, none of that. I feel like he's improved from last season. That's what it feels like. I know it's only pre-season, but it seemed like he's improved. He should be aiming for at least 10 goals and assists, like combined. But realistically, if he wants to have if I'm being realistic, it should be 15. Like that's how much I expect from Ebbs. I think he's got the talent. He's been selected for England, and he has to kick on. TT says, "What's the latest on Elise? Is it a blessing he got injured when he did?" The Elise news came literally hours after Zaha rumors were true, and he was traveling to Turkey. So even then, like there was always a fear because we didn't know what's happening with his release clause, which should have been removed, which seemed like it is removed after all that scare. I think it's more of like paper talk, maybe agents trying to get more money for Elise, which will make sense because it's quieting down. The realistically, I just don't see Chelsea buying him if the first £5 million release clause ain't there. The only team that I'm worried about is potentially Man City. But now that he's injured, I don't know if Man City will go for him as well. It's all quieting down. It was a bit scary at the start. They had us in the first half, but now that everything's calmed down, it seems like with the Elise talk, it's more paper talk, maybe agent trying to get him a higher wage, because only this past weekend there were reports about Palace, not from like top tier sources, but that Palace are willing to offer him £100,000 a week, which I would be happy with. Like, I wouldn't have no issue with that if that keeps Elise happy, because I think him and Ebbs are worth that kind of money in today's market. So we should pay him what he's worth. Ferguson is another. Wickham always injured. Gay should be captain, but they'll give it to Ward. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be Ward as well. Gray for depth. Yeah. So let's go back to the topic. I know I got a bit went a bit off track, but yeah, look, I'll take Demarai Gray for depth. For me, I think the best signing after Franca would still be Hudson-Odoi. I think Hudson-Odoi and Franca would be absolutely fantastic. But Demarai Gray, it seems like today that Fulham are interested. Apparently spoken to Marco Silva, according to reports, and Everton are still keen on £15 million for him. So I think the way that it's going, the way that it's dragged on, I wouldn't be that surprised if we just move on from Demarai Gray. But saying that, I would not be unhappy by any means if we were to sign Demarai Gray, because I still think he's a decent player. But for me, Demarai Gray alone wouldn't have made me as happy or excited for as a Wilf replacement, because I feel like with Gray, we know ceiling. With a younger player, we don't really know his ceiling. He's got all the potential in the world. With Gray, we do. But I'll happily take Gray. I'll take Nonto. I'll take all the names that's been mentioned now that we got Franca. So yeah, it's a case of, will we go for a left winger? Will we go for a striker? Look, if we go for Gray, £50 million, people, we split what? I know this transfer probably has installments that we don't know about, but on paper, it's 25 million euros for Franca, 50 million for Demarai Gray, or let's say 10 million if we manage to get a deal there. That's 35 million pound or euros, depending on how if you combine transfers, that we spent on just wingers. How much money will we have left over for striker? I just don't see us spending the likes of 60, 70 million pounds. I think that's the most interesting thing about it. As I said, as I've been saying, that striker position, I wonder how we're going to try to solve it, because there's no way on earth we can just say, you know what, it's fine, we've got Edouard and Mateta. That is a very risky approach. I wouldn't mind Edouard as like a backup option, because I feel like on his day, which he doesn't have much, but when he cares, when he seems like he cares, when he seems bothered, he's not a bad player. At times, his body language just seems off. But when he is bothered, Ebbs can be, not Ebbs, Edouard can be a very good support striker. But despite that, I don't think he should be like Premier League star. I don't think Mateta and Edouard are a good combination to have as your depth options. He took one against West Ham, so it makes sense. Put Edouard on pens, get your captain. Would you play Raksaki? So with Jez, I've said it last season when Vieira was here, I think he's ready to become a squad player. Saying that, I won't be that surprised if we don't see much of Raksaki in the first place. I think he's just there to add up numbers whilst at least he's out injured. I'll be very surprised if he has Premier League appearances like that. But I think he's got a, bare about him. We saw him against, with Charlton out on loan. And I know that's a whole different league. But, when you combine what you've seen from Jez so far, I would play him, but I wouldn't play him as a starter. I don't think he's ready to be a starter, but I think he's ready to be a squad player. And I think that will be his role for the time being until Elise comes back. And then after that, he'll slowly fall down the pecking order. So I think the biggest question with Jez is, do you keep Jez and, keep him for a month or two, and then he doesn't go out on loan and, eventually he just doesn't get much game time? Or do you loan him out and, go risky approach with Elise out injured, with Jess just going out on loan? You don't really have much depth options there. It's a hard one. But for me, I would love Jess to play, but I think right now he's a squad player. But yeah, he can 100% become a starter relatively soon. Any news on the new stand? No, there isn't any news on the new stand. We'll probably find out in September-ish. I'm pretty sure there's something that's meant to happen around then, or October. It says, always feel like journalists just don't rate us with these stories. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the sources, right? So it's not like, unless they're making up, then that's bad. But it depends on what the sources are feeding them. Red says, we'll stop worrying until I see Franca and shirt. The Elise stuff is clickbait now. Yeah, 100% agree. Elise stuff has died down. But Franca, Franca. I'm pronouncing the name wrong. I think that's done. He had a farewell party yesterday, people. There's videos, and even David Luiz posted, I think, on Instagram saying goodbye to him as well. So I think it's pretty much done. I mean, he said his goodbyes, and there's even video as evidence as well. So it will happen. It will happen. I know it's Palace. I know it's Palace. I know we're all worried because you never know with this club at times. But I'm 99% confident that it will happen, unless something drastic changes, which I just don't see it happening. Franca plus striker plus left back, and we're winning the league. Interesting. You say left back because we spoke about him before, not as much in this summer, but Lewis Hall would be absolutely fantastic. Like, if we're talking about left back, I think him on loan with an option to buy, if we can fit that in, would just be incredible. I think that should be the move going forward in terms of left back. I think him and I think that would give Tyreek a real eye opener, because Tyreek has been pushed, and there's two ways of looking at it. You know, when you don't have a proper backup option to you, one, you can relax, and two, it will slow down your development as well. Yes, he's playing games, but he hasn't got that serious competition for him to say, you know what, I need to improve on this or improve on that. Naturally, he would want to improve. But if you bring in a player like Lewis Hall, trust me, Tyreek will. You'll have to switch his game, and naturally them two competing will just improve each other's games because they're still relatively young. I think that'd be fantastic. But yeah, a striker is the biggest question mark, because I don't know who will get up front with some of the names that's been mentioned as well. If you get Hall and Dest, I'll be okay for the season until next season. I'll be honest, Dest will be nice, but I just don't see it happening because we got right backs. We've got two right backs. And I don't think we would have signed two right backs if we were going to get another one. That's how I see it. But people, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like. Let's hit over 100 likes. Your support has been fantastic recently. So let's try and get the likes up. Adam saying, I'd be happy with Gray for depth. Hall on loan from Chelsea for depth, and buy another striker. 100%. But that's the funny thing, people. We talk about Gray for depth. We talk about Hall on loan for depth. But when it comes to striker, there isn't any real names out there that, you know, is one, proper convincing, or two, that makes you feel like Palace are seriously after them. The reason why I'm saying that, Nketiah probably we would be, but his price tag seems a bit high if it's the £40 million. So with striker, that's just a weird area. For other positions, we got names. But when it comes to up front, I don't think there's a name out there that we would want. I think Hall at left back is pretty much set in stone in terms of what I would want. That I'll be very happy with that. And Gray or Hudson-Odoi or Nonto, I would be happy with all three of them as depth options. But with striker, it's just weird. We could leave striker this year. Yes, it would be a risk. However, with the creativity behind Edouard, he can finish. So, Callum, do you think Edouard has proven that he can finish? Look, I said it when he joined. I think he's a finisher, but then again, he's had a few moments where he's had the ball in front of the goal and he hasn't finished. Are we still basing this on when Edouard joined and what he's done in Scotland, or is it based on hope? Because I don't know if he's proven himself to be a finisher at Palace. But yeah, maybe. I still rate Edouard more than Mateta. I do. And maybe next season it can be his breakout season. Maybe he just needed time to bed in, but I think that would be very risky. We talk about creativity, but if Edouard can't finish, and then we have, Edouard and Mateta, then all that creativity is for nothing. We don't have a finisher. We'll still struggle to score goals. Broja, that's the thing. Look, Broja would be an ideal one, but if he was to get Lewis Hall out on loan from Chelsea, and I don't know how Broja would fit into Palace in that aspect. I don't know. If Chelsea would want to do two deals like that. And also Broja, when it comes down to it, he's coming off a very bad injury. Like, he was very good before his injury, but he's coming off a bad injury. So there's that risk element there, which I'm willing to take, but I'm probably, with a month to go till the window shuts, we could potentially do better. I'm thinking off the top of my head, if we done our due diligence and we scouted for these players a bit more. Is a bit where injured, he's disappeared. No clue. Very good point. I don't think so. I don't think so. Today I feel Brazilian. Yeah, of course I do. The Turkish TV here are talking about Burnley putting a bid for Sacha Bowie. Imagine Burnley game and we didn't. That'd be very frustrating. Not for the fact that Burnley are getting him, but the fact that we were linked with him for like 6 or 7 months, just like we was, linked with Franca as well. And we managed to get him. But Bowie it's one of the things with right back position. We just always neglect it. I don't understand why. I think we just always downplay that position, but it's still important. It's, in a modern day, you want your right back to be overlapping. You want your right back to be, solid defensively, or, young, have pace. And we've just been okay with the thought of, having Joe Wood and Nathaniel Klein there. So I don't understand it. And I'll never understand it unless it's money concerns. But yeah, we just always downplay that position. It's frustrating. Mike says, you reckon Mitrovic might be a good signing for Palace? I don't think Mitrovic is coming to Palace. If he was to leave, he wants to go Saudi because of the money. I don't think he wants to leave Fulham to come to Palace. That's the main reason he wanted out. So yeah, I don't think he'll be coming to Palace, in all honesty. I'm saying I thought Lewis Hall was naturally a midfielder and he'll play left back because of injuries. Would he come to us to play a left back? I think so. He'll do. I think he'll play left back. It won't be midfield. I think midfield is pretty much sorted. But then again, that's the modern players. If you guys have noticed, there's a trend. Like, these players can often play two positions. That's what you want. If he offers that versatility, great. But I think he'll come in to play left back, because where's he going to play in midfield? It's Lerma, Decore, and Ebbs most likely in midfield. So I just don't see a position for Luis. I think he'll be left back 100%, and he's been very solid at left back whenever I watch him play as well. Broja fits for our squad perfectly. He won't get sniff at Chelsea. Now with all the strikers they've got, I'd go for Broja, clinical and strong on the ball. Probably Broja. In terms of finances as well, I think he probably makes the most sense. Red says strikers cost big and are a massive risk, and that's why that's what I was thinking. If we were to get Wilf back, yes, it's time to talk about him. But he could have potentially sorted out our short-term striking options. We could have put him up front and brought in a winger, then we wouldn't have this conversation. But now I think it's only right that we have these conversations, because Wilf ain't coming back and we just don't have strikers. Evans is not a striker. At least he won't be a striker. We literally just got two strikers, Edouard and Mateta. And they're not good enough. So far, they haven't proven it to me anyways, for them to be good enough in the Premier League. But there's that bit of hope. I've got that bit of hope in my heart, but I just don't want to say it because it's very minimal. That Edouard could still one day come good, but that's just me basing it on what he done over in Scotland rather than a reality check. Thoughts on the offer for Scott Banks? I think we need to learn to give him a chance next season. Yeah, so I saw this on Saturday. I was out on Saturday. But I quickly went on my phone. £500,000 a week for Scott Banks. There's no point. That's nothing money. I mean, if we were to sell him, we might as well sell him for a bit more. And if they don't want to offer a bit more, then keep Scott Banks. I don't think there's any reason. Loan him out, let him get more experience and let him build his value. Che Adams, yeah, he's been rumored, but I'll be honest, Gareth, I don't know if I'd go for Che Adams. It's just I don't know what he's done for me to have that confidence from Che Adams. I guess he's a bit different to Edouard, but yeah, I'd prefer us to, if we've done our scouting properly, there's strikers out there, but of course it's going to be hard to strikers come at a premium. So yeah, Che Adams, I don't really get that excitement from him. Andy's saying I think Edouard is a good player. He did it at Celtic. But that's why I have to stop you there, Andy, because Celtic and Prem's two different things. We see it, players come over from Scotland to Prem, and some of them perform well. For example, Van Dijk, he came over from Scotland to the Prem and he performed well, but some of them just don't manage to cut it. But I don't think we play to his strengths. Look at Tekers, he was a beast, and we changed our play and he couldn't hit a bar on door. Look, I made these excuses as well with Edouard, but I don't think it's anything about his strength. What is Edouard's strength that we need to play towards? Because I said that he should be a finisher in the box, but there was a few times where he missed sitters last season. So what is Edouard's strengths? I'll still say that his best strengths are finisher, but even that, he hasn't really proven it in the Premier League so far. I just realized Coventry dude gone to Portugal. Yeah, he's gone. He went a long time ago, Dan. Well, it feels like it anyways. Hall or Maatsen would be an absolute coup competition for the spot and for Southgate's eyes as well. I think Luce was the most realistic one. I don't know if they will give us Maatsen. We have Ayew, remember Dee? Yeah, we do have Jordan Ayew. I'm not going to slate Jordan Ayew because I think he's a very good squad player and he's underrated at times. But we have to move on from this. We have Ayew trend because Jordan Ayew's decision making. He's not a bad player, but his decision making and his finishing is not that great. We still need to improve in that area. Origi, yeah, he's been mentioned. Adama Traore, I think he's on the free as well. So that's interesting. I don't know if Palace rate him because he hasn't been mentioned at all this summer. But I think we can get him on a free transfer. To be fair, and it's a very good shout. Somerville and Nonto. What about Origi? Origi, yeah, but his wages seem a bit too high, and I'm not convinced that Palace will be willing to cover it because we were, during the season we were talking about Origi. He was linked from AC Milan to join Palace, but then again, his wages, that's the biggest concern with Origi. But you never know. I think with striker, it might come down to deadline day, people. Because as I'm saying, there's names out there, but none of the names are really convincing, for example. And it might just be like a last minute business, in honesty. But, realistically, from here onwards, one more left winger and a striker, and I'll be okay with that. I don't think that's enough. I think we still need to improve right back and left back. We need to, improve depth there as well. But the bare minimum should be a left winger and striker. I think that should be the bare minimum. Anything on top of that, I think it was surprising for me. That would be surprising. And also, Steve Parish spoke on the High Performance podcast. I haven't been able to listen to it, so I can't tell you exactly what he said. But there was a quote saying that I saw on Twitter of him saying how he likes to keep his word in terms of his promises. Something along the lines. I'm going to try to bring it up, and I won't quote him wrongly. But yeah, he said something along the lines of, if I keep a promise, hold up. So Demarai Gray to Fulham from Everton is at a final stage. So we mentioned Demarai Gray about 22 minutes ago, according to a source over on Twitter who has 300k followers. It seems like, Demarai Gray to Everton for €8.5 million, which is, not around the £50 million stage, cheaper than expected. He's ready for a contract until 2026 with an option for 2027. So for people that wanted Demarai Gray, he's gone. It seems like he's off to Fulham. So that's an option that we can tick off the list as well. Paz fan says, I think if we get Nonto and Somerville, we can really push on. I don't think we're getting both. I think one of the two, realistically, that would happen. Exactly. Gray's gone to Fulham, so it is what it is. Let me go through more comments. It wasn't much of an interview, nothing major said, nothing about text or anything. Yeah, he wouldn't talk about text. He wouldn't do that. But he said something along the lines. I saw the quote anyways. I haven't been able to watch the interview. He said, if I make a promise to you, you're going to get it. Now, I don't know if he's talking about Palace. That was a quote that I just saw online. But yeah, I mean, let's see what he's cooking. Let's see what Steve Parish is cooking. If I make a promise to you, you're going to get it. Is he talking about pushing the club onto the next level? Is this Steve Parish's revenge season where he's gonna go crazy in the transfer market and we're gonna push on? I don't know, but yeah, he said that anyways. I don't know if that means anything or if you should look at it with any detail. Looney says, yeah, for real, we should try to get Walker Peters. Yeah, he hasn't really been mentioned, has he? Walker Peters. Wasn't really talking about Palace. Oh, okay, yeah. So apparently he wasn't even talking about Palace. Well, hey, look who's there. What's going on to you, bro? You good?
What's going on, man?
Man, why have you been avoiding me?
Avoiding you?
Yeah, bro. You haven't been in, man. Every single time you're on, we're never on together.
I feel like that goes both ways, my brother. Because when I'm on, you're not on.
We was meant to jump on at 9:30, and you cut the whole power line to the school, so you don't jump on.
Yeah, but yet behold, here I am.
Yeah, exactly. Now you turn it on. Now you turn on the power line. How you doing?
I'm good, man. What's up, man?
Yeah, we've just been talking about just general names being mentioned, about what we want next. I said I'll be okay with a left winger striker. I think that should be the bare minimum. But ideally, I want left winger striker and a left back, right back. But that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. I just don't see us signing a right back. But I think the most interesting thing is with the striker position, bro, because we've seen names being mentioned, but there hasn't been any that's been like seriously convincing. And Ketio's price tag seems just too much for Palace. Palace price tag seems a lot. Brojo we talk about within the fan base, but he hasn't really been mentioned. So I think striker is one position that we need to improve on, but you haven't seen any convincing names so far. Maybe now that our focus could be on that, or it could be on left winger. So how do you see the situation with Franca joining?
I mean, I think it depends. I mean, the interesting thing that I want to see is what you mentioned earlier that I think I heard you say was, what's his development going to look like? How's it going to look like with Roy bringing him in and deciding to play him and things? Because because we've seen in the past, he's not always the quickest to throw out young guys like that. The thing that works in France's favor is the fact that he's knee deep in a season. So he doesn't need to come and get up to speed or get in shape, or he's ready to go. He's probably in better shape than majority of the guys on the team right now. You know what I mean? So that works in his favor. But once again, I mean, learn a new system and things like that. And he's a young guy. So I don't know. I would hope that he'll at least get time to be a part of things, really get playing time right away, at least. Maybe not starting, but I would like to see us get more depth over there on the left-hand side. So I would still like to see more moves.
I've seen Gray go. DeMar Gray, he's off to Fulham.
I hadn't had a chance. I just got an alert. I'm wondering if that's probably what it was.
Yeah, DeMar Gray. Yeah, he's going to Fulham for €8.5 million. So that's off our list now as well.
And that's funny. That's funny because Fulham was gun shy on making the Hudson-Odoi move for 500,000 less.
So does that open the door now for Hudson-Odoi? Because
please, I pray to God that it does, because that's the dude I want.
Exactly. I think I'll be very happy. I think I'll be very happy with Hudson-Odoi in France. I said it at the start of the stream as well. As a Wilf replacement, you're never going to really replace him because of what he's done, and
it's not so much
as well.
A replacement.
But you want someone that's exciting. You want someone with potential. You want someone that's young. I think France is absolutely fantastic for that. He gives us a bit of hope. He gives us something to look forward to. But on top of that, if you had a Hudson-Odoi there, yes, recently he hasn't really kicked on, but he's still young. And sometimes a change of environment can do you massive worlds of good. Or sometimes it can get even worse. But for me, I'm willing to take that risk. And that would be exciting. I think that'd be exciting. Him or Nonto, for example. But realistically, I mean, what do you think the club will be doing after this? Do you think the target still will be left winger in terms of improving the depth there? Or do you think we'll change our focus on striker?
I think the target to be a little more catch-all will be attacking talent. I think it depends on. I wonder if it depends on what they can get done in the market with the time we have left. I definitely think we'll see another attacking player move, whether that's on the wing, whether that's up top. I mean, the thing is, we still have 2 loan spots that we haven't utilized yet. So I would hope that, with that being the case, that we can at least get 2 more moves over the line for sure. And if that comes in the form of another left winger and a striker, cool, so be it.
I think the loan move, I think one of them should be and will be most likely Lewis Hall if it was to happen.
I hope so. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice
so.
And this is me actually going back and watching you and Patrick's show from this morning for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
It all depends on, I think, the buy clause for me. If we could get the buy clause on Lewis Hall, I'm with it. I mean, and the reason why I think we can is because he got 0 preseason minutes with Chelsea. He's got a lot of guys in front of him. You know what I'm saying? So I would hope that we could possibly get that buy clause on him. If not, like I said, I'm kind of over renting Chelsea players. I think the one thing that would be smart of us if we do go out and get a guy for fullback, and like you said, we're not going to get a left back and a right back. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting a right back.
I think we need to target a guy who can do both. Who maybe can do both.
Who could be that player? That's what I'm trying to think.
But before he signed with Nottingham Forest, I was saying Ola Aina.
But he's gone.
He's gone now. The one that comes to mind the most for me would be possibly Kyle Walker-Peters.
Yeah.
If we did that, he also wouldn't be a Premier League loan. If we loaned him in, or if we paid for him, depending on how much they want, that could be a great move. Reggie Cannon is free right now. After he got released from his contract with what's the name of that team? It's over in Portugal. I can't recall.
Porto.
It's all with a B.
I'm so tired right now, bro. I don't even know. I'll be honest.
But what it is he's free right now, and he has experience playing across the entirety of the back, and that's even in a 3, in a 4. He's played on both fullback spots. So, I mean, if you're looking for somebody, number one, who's going to be extremely cheap because we don't have a transfer fee for him, and he's got a lot of positional versatility at the back, which will help us immensely with our situation right now. I think Reggie Cannon might be a good move too for you. But I would hope that, I would say using both loans, trying to get a striker, another left winger, and a versatile defender would be what I would hope for. And that's, I feel like that's conceivable with having 2 loan spots open and getting 3 guys in. I think that's doable.
What about Spence? Jed Spence.
Hey, I love Jed Spence. Spence. I wanted us to get Jed Spence from the championship before he went to Tottenham.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting no run with them. He's getting no burn with them, and he's training by himself now. I guess that's all a matter of how the deal comes together. Is that a loan? Do they want to buy? Do they want us to buy him, and what price they charging for him? Now, Jed Spence is a right back, and that's his thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right back, right wing back. So with that being said, I mean,
that'd be crazy. Spence and Elisa down the right hand side. That'd be hard to defend against.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be crazy. Imagine trying to defend against that, like both of them two there.
Yeah, because you're gonna see Jed overlap, and you're gonna see Elise coming inside on that left foot, and you don't know what he's gonna do.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll be hard. But look, people, we're gonna wrap it up in just a second. But if you're enjoying this, smash the like button. It helps us massively. Thank you to everyone who's liked already, and subscribe if you're new here and want to see more Palace content. There'll be more coming as it happens. But yeah, let's go through some more comments and then we'll wrap it up. If we got Dest, I would be happy with the team. Fair enough. So some people just will be happy with just Dest. I feel like personally we need a bit more, especially in forward areas. And Mancuyo from Newcastle could do the job on cheap.
How old is Javier Manquillo? Javier Manquillo's in his 30s, isn't he?
He's a left back as well, I think. Yeah, that would be. It's too much of a signing for signing's sake.
We got a lot of. There's a lot of better options, younger options. I mean, he is Premier League experienced, but outside of that being his age, I don't know if that might be the move. Matteo Retegui just got transferred to a new club. In Serie A, I do believe he went. I can't remember where he went to a smaller side in Serie A. I saw that the other day.
Interesting. But yeah, look, let's wrap this up now. But if you have enjoyed it, thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We'll most likely be back here, giving a Franca live reaction, getting your comments once it's signed as well, answering all the big questions about it. But he said his goodbyes, so he should be joining us relatively soon. Thankfully, that deal is over, but now it's time to look forward because the window is still open for another month, and we've got business to do. As we're saying, left winger, striker, fullbacks, there's still areas of the squad that we can and we should improve on, but will we do it? Only time will tell. But that's it from me and T, and until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.